have A and J. Oh, there's A. I know we're going to be missing a couple people today. All right, so I'm going to wait for a minute to see if I think Chris is going to be here, so we'll make sure that he gets in before we get started, because we're going to have an exceptionally, whoops, just broke my computer. Let's try that again. Yeah. An exceptionally short class today. Because we only have a few of the assignments to go over, and then the second part of the class has actually been pre-recorded. I wanted to do more of a demonstration, and it's not convenient. It wouldn't have been convenient to do that live, so I pre-recorded that in my studio over the weekend, and I'll send you guys a link out to that video, which will be the second part of the class today. But I know Beth's not going to be here. I know Haley's not going to be here. Chris, I thought, was. So we'll just give him a second, since we do have a submission from him. How much fun or lack of fun was this week's assignment? Nobody even wants to answer that. Well, it was different anyway. Next week is going to be the third, or this next assignment will be the third and final part of the light painting exercises. In some ways it'll be easier to do because it's a single exposure rather than using multiples like we've been doing. But it's still going to be a little bit of a challenge, which I know all three of these were, especially doing them the way we had to do them without really getting our hands dirty on anything. All right, so if Chris shows up, he can join us. But right now, of course, by the time he gets here, we may be we may be done. Give me a second. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into looking at your stuff here, guys. All right, so we'll skip over Chris since he's not here yet, and we'll come back to him at the end, and we'll start with Eva's. So I don't have the I don't have your original images, so I'm not sure what it was that you were working from here. I like your the subject that you use, and I like the see if I can get a little better screen here to see you guys. Well, nope, it's not going to let me. Strange, it won't let me expand this window. Anyway, so I don't know, Eva, if you are at a computer, or if you're at the computer, or if you're using the computer that you did this on, and would have access to those images and would want to share them with us. If not, you can just kind of walk me through what it is that we did here. I'm not hearing you, and I can't see you, so I'm not sure if you're muted. Let me go back to, oh, we lost you entirely. We lost everybody except AJ, A and J. Interesting. Not sure what happened to her. I know she's in a place that has really spotty internet. So, wow, we might have even a shorter class than we thought. All right, well, let's go past her. Let me share. That's why it wouldn't let me expand the window. There was nobody to expand to. All right, so we'll skip hers for a second. Jaden, we're going to go to you, and let's take a look at your raw images, or rather not the raw images, but the original images. So I'm guessing you tell me, how did you light these images?
I just used a flashlight and then had a piece of cardboard to make the light smaller.
Okay, and then what about these? What am I'm seeing the light source here, it looks like. What is?
It's a glow stick.
Glow stick, okay. And it's obviously, yeah, there we go. He was trying to get back in. It's obviously a very dim light stick, and that's why, because I can see the stick itself, but I'm seeing very little of that light affecting the subject here. So
yeah, it didn't really work out.
You've got a couple of images that, like this one in particular, when I look at the teeth that are backlit and the rim, the upper rim of the mouth of this thing, which looks like I don't want to ever meet in the ocean or a river or anything like that. I'm seeing highlights there that I didn't see in the finished image, but let me go through these and look. I think you have a couple of images here that are lit the way I would want to see these lit, like that one, to some extent, that one, definitely that, that one. Yeah, they're lit, and especially in that one too, they're lit from different angles, and they're lit from very, just lighting edges and things like that, a couple of them anyway. But in the final image is interesting. I like it. I think, again, though, again, as I'm looking, like, for example, if I look at the mouth of this creature, the upper part, and then I go back and look at that one image, like well, that's not the one. Where is it? It's the one that has the backlighting, this one. Yeah, I'd love to have seen some of that rim light there that you see on the mouth actually show up in the final image. I think we have a tendency to play it safe on these images and just try to build up and make a normal looking picture from all of the originals, when really what I wanted to see was something that couldn't have been achieved any other way. And I'm in this one, even though it does use a lot of those parts, when I look at it, I wouldn't look at it and say, wow, how did you do that? Because I'm not sure how you would have lit that. I do like the final image. I like your, and I don't know, looking at the background there, I don't see. Oh, okay, there it is in that image. I was gonna say, I didn't see which one the background came from, but now I do. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool image. I like it overall. I'm not gonna complain about it. I think I just wanted to see a little more shadowing and a little more direction of light from all, because you had them. You had what you needed there. It's just the final image looks good, just not as different as I would have hoped. But overall, like I said, it does look interesting and a little bit on the scary side. Is this, like, supposedly a real fish, or I mean, something that does exist?
I just made it. It's
Oh, you
a
made it.
mache sculpture.
So it exists in your brain. That's where it
Yeah.
exists. Well, your brain, Jaden, is a very scary place. not some place I'd want to go swimming, I'll tell you that. But no, it's pretty cool. If you made this, it's definitely pretty cool. And I do, like I said, I do like the final image. I just, if I'm just going to be critical, I would say just give me a little more direction. And I think it was just a matter of, playing it safe, because like I said, as I look through these images, it gets confusing sometimes. The more you have, like, what did I bring in, or what should I bring in, and what should I leave out, and all of that. It's a trial and error. If you sat down to do this again, you probably would come up with a very different image just doing it a second time. So anyway, Eva, we lost you. And now that you're back, what I was saying that you apparently didn't hear was that I like the subject that you picked, and I think it's a cool looking image. But since I don't see your original images, I'm not really sure what you started with and how you arrived at this. And I wondered if you're at the computer that had those, I know your internet connection.
Right.
Yeah, your internet is pretty bad. So I was originally thinking of having you share those with us to show us the originals, but I understand that's probably not going to work. So maybe just kind of walk us through what, like, because it just kind of looks to me like I do see change of direction here, because there's a highlight on this creature's front end, like its front nose and the back corner. And yet we also have light coming from the front left. So clearly you definitely use multiple lighting angles. Overall, the image is a little dark, and there are parts of it that I can't see at all. So I'm not sure. I think you did it right. I'd love to see, the originals to see what you started with. It says there are seven layers you worked with.
Yeah. It's actually a white dinosaur. So I used the glow stick.
Okay.
And I moved it around. The back legs, you couldn't see any of them on any of my pictures anyway.
And I'm guessing it's probably the same thing that we just saw on Jaden's image. The glow sticks are so, the intensity from those is so low that it either requires a much longer exposure where you have to really paint a lot longer. Well, that's really the only option, because you can't brighten the stick. Well, the other option would be to change the settings on your camera to, widen the aperture or take the ISO up a little bit higher so that it's more sensitive to that light. But I have that issue, as well, on a number of shots when I'm using glow sticks. And it depends on the color too. Like the green one is very vivid, very bright. The red one is very bright, but the blues and the purples that I have are, they require, if I'm going to do those, it requires like twice the amount of time that the other ones do. But I do see, like I said, as I look at the highlights that I do see on this thing, clearly it's more than one shot, more than one light, more than one image, however, whatever. And you got it lined up this time. It looks good. Like everything, there's nothing out of register or anything. So that looks good. That's always a challenge. All right. So
send emails. One, it wouldn't let me send all my files. So I just sent the final one. But okay. I sent another email later.
I only got the one. Let me look and make sure. Yeah, I got the one from, well, it says Outlook with a long number at outlook.com, and then it has your Westlib address in parentheses, but that's the only one that I actually received. So if there was something else, I didn't get it. But we got the one that we needed to get, which was the finished image anyway. All right, so Chris is probably obviously not going to show, so we're just going to take a look at his. I'll start below. I believe the top one here is the final image. So these are the before images. Again, it looks like they're lit with a variety of things. LEDs or glow sticks. On this one, probably this is a little more straightforward with flashlight or whatever, and then some gel, and then some for the background, the brick background in the foreground, and so forth. And then this is the finished image. So again, I got an overall look. I like the colors and everything that were done here, but I'm still lacking just a little bit of that direction, like where I'm seeing very strong light from this side and from that side, and certain areas in shadow and so forth. Again, overall, the finished image is cool. it would have been difficult to achieve probably any other way, but I just would like to have seen, like I can see the influence from these images in each one of these. But I think that maybe, like, for example, that one or even that one, probably more like this one, has a little too much influence in the finished one. If you look at, you know, how the face of this thing is lit, it looks like a lot of that was taken from this image, which is a very flat image. And for this technique to be really effective, you want to use more of these images in the final product. But still, overall, looks pretty interesting. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but all of you seem to have picked things that are a little on the frightening side. Well, not everybody. Alana's is not frightening. Let's pull this up. So let's look at your original images. Nobody's afraid of Angry Orchard. So again, I can see from these originals all sorts of different directions. This one I particularly like, where you're lighting up the liquid in the bottle, backlighting it. That worked really well. I'm not sure if you actually used all of these or how much you use. And that one with the downlight, I love the circular pattern that it creates underneath that. And then the highlight on the side of the bottle. The finished image, this one, I'm going to say you absolutely nailed. Like, this is exactly the technique. This is exactly the look that I would expect to see. If I'm going to make any small or slight criticism at all, is I look at your original images, this last one that has this really cool highlight on the side of the bottle, I would love to see more of that in the finished one, because the left side of the bottle on your finished one goes a little bit on the dark side, and you had that image there. But again, I know how hard that is when you're bringing, you know, you use a little bit of something, and then maybe the next layer you bring in, you might actually cover that up and not really realize and go back. But I think if you added a little bit of that back in, I mean, this image really sings. Overall, this is, when I look at this to me is a light painting image. I recognize immediately that that's how it's created. I think without a doubt, this was probably one of your better efforts. I mean, overall, you've been doing some really good stuff, but this one is really definitely my favorite one recently. All right, so let's see where we're at here. Yeah, this is really going to be a quick class, guys. I didn't expect it to be this fast, but when we're only dealing with a single submission and we don't have, you know, 3 or 4 of images from each one of you to look at, and we only have 4 of them in the first place, this part of the class doesn't take up a lot of time. So the bulk of it is going to be that pre-recorded one. So let me explain a little bit about what that is. And then actually, before I forget, let me send out that notification. You guys will get an email here. Let me build this link in. So you'll get an email here in a second that has it'll come through as an announcement that has that link in it for the video. But like I mentioned earlier, what it is I'll stop sharing this. It's the third part of light painting, and it what I do in the studio involves working with a person, although there are a lot of different ways to do this. The key difference between it and everything else that we've done so far with light painting is that it's a single exposure. You need either to be set on bulb on the camera or on a very long shutter speed, you know, 4 seconds, 8 seconds, you know, whatever. If your camera doesn't have bulb, you can set it to do that. But the idea is to create some type of light streak or some type of interesting pattern in a single exposure. So like if you think the couple of you that used a glow stick or a pen light or something that we actually saw in the image, it's sort of like that, except that you build it in with a subject of some sort. In my case, I used a person. Using people is problematic because people move. And this exposure, you know, a lot of these exposures were like, I want to say 25, 30 seconds, something like that. So there, I use flash in combination with glow sticks and pen lights and things like that. So the flash freezes the person in place. And then while the shutter is still open, you use some type of a light source to create a pattern in the image. And if that person shifts position, say from here to here, from the flash exposure to the other, you're going to get one of two things happen: either a break in that light pattern, there'll be like a black area along one side, or a ghost image. In fact, you're going to see in one, I was trying to use kicker lights in from the back corners to give a little bit of edge separation. And what happened is, during the exposure, while I was using my light wand, that kicker light actually fired on its own like 2 or 3 more times. So the finished image, when you see it, you see a ghost of me behind her where that light hit me when I was in that position. Actually in several positions. That's why there'll be like 2 or 3 of me. So there's all sorts of weird things that can happen when you do this, but it can be a lot of fun. So you can use people the way I did. You can do this indoors on a small scale. You can do it outdoors on a large scale. You could, if you think about probably one of the most common things that you'll see this way are cars at night moving with, you know, headlights and taillights and things like that, or trains or whatever. The idea, though, is to make it as interesting as you possibly can. Like, you know, if you're going to do cars or something like that, do it in a way that is kind of cool and unique. You know, shoot it, instead of completely in darkness, maybe at dusk in an area that's kind of interesting on its own, so that we have something to play against the light streaks. If you do it on a small scale, what you can do it on a tabletop in your house. If you just come up with some cool little thing and some way to outline it, just you know, watch the video and hopefully you'll get some ideas. At the end of the video, I will show you some examples. Actually, let me look at those real quickly here. So these are the ones that you'll see. A couple of them are mine. A couple of them are just images that I found online and downloaded. But you'll see a number of different looks here. Everything from, you know, just a simple movement, you know, studio shot with some movement in it, to something like this, which, you know, somebody went out with a pen light and actually drew these stick figures with the light pointing back at the camera. I wish they had not turned the car headlights on. That would have made that even better. Or something like this, which is really wild. Whatever that light source is, some type of light wand or whatever, it lights up the subject, the foreground, and becomes an element on its own. So that's a pretty cool use of it. You'll see some images like this, which are actually fire being twirled. Again, fire performers, or even just a simple one like that, which is just a sparkler outlining someone at night. And you can see that it looks like, I don't know that they moved, but the person outlining them, you know, was a little, you know, they obviously didn't want to burn them. So the sparkler isn't like directly on the edges or anything like that. Or something like this, which again is, you know, headlights and taillights, but done at the right time of day and with a really cool location with this foreground area. So that's what you're going to see in the at the end of the video. Just give you some examples and some ideas. I hope you guys come up with something that's unique, something on your own. But it should be a little, you know, a little easier on the processing end on your end, because pretty much you open the shutter, do the shot, and it's a lot of trial and error. You might have to do this 10, 15 times before you get what it is you want. But once the shutter closes, you're pretty much done. You can go in and edit a little bit, but you don't have to bring all these multiple images in and line them up and paint and all of that kind of stuff. You're pretty much going to get it in that one shot. So that shooting it should be a little easier for you. Anybody have any questions on that technique? I mean, it's a part of it is pretty straightforward, but it's probably, has anybody ever done anything like this before? Anybody ever tried something? Well, good. This is as common as this technique is, it's not one that a lot of people tend to go out and do. So that's good. Now, I'm going to make a suggestion to you. It's not even quite 4:30 yet. I'm going to suggest that you take the rest, well, not the rest, the video is only 26 minutes long, but watch the video now after we sign off here, so that even if you don't get to it until the weekend or whatever, you'll have that in your head and kind of be thinking about it and get yourself some ideas. The worst thing you want to do is wait until like Wednesday of next week to watch the video and then go, oh crap, I only have a day to pull this off. I think this one could be a lot more fun even than some of the other ones that we've done. So just go, take a look at that. And if you have any questions on it, let me know. I just shot it with a GoPro in my studio, and I did a little bit of editing so that you could see the final images after we shot them, because the camera was pointed at my iPad and they're a little bit hard to see on that. So I added the images after the fact, but you'll see what we did and how we did it. And, either do something along those lines, or better yet, come up with something completely unique on your own and surprise me. Sound good? All right. So this will be the shortest class we have all year. Oh, by the way, next week, since we'll be at, in the middle of the semester, we will take some time after the image critique. We'll take some time to talk to each one of you one-on-one and kind of let you know where you're at in the semester, and if there's anything that needs improved or whatever, we'll do that next week. So that's very important. You don't want to miss that class. All right, guys. Early is good, I guess, but we're not quite done. Like I said, even if you take a break right now, really, really think about going and watching that now. You might even want to watch it again, just because, I don't know, maybe you'll have trouble sleeping, and that'll help you sleep if you watch that again. But if you have any questions this week, let me know. Otherwise, have fun and surprise me next week. All right, guys, we'll see you in a week.